during his MVP interview, did say that if Zed was open, he would play it. Whether or not that means
Is that really the venue to talk about future game strategy, though?
I'm just saying, if whether that means into a blind selection, who knows? But then again, we did just see a blind Pantheon mid yesterday, so all bets are off. I think that the blind Zed for BDD would be much more reliable.
Look, a blind Zed, a blind Monk, either of those would be excellent for our viewing pleasure. Lee Sin and Zed.
Can't
for
argue
SBENU
with that.
and CJ would be exciting picks, but sorry, no blind Monk, Lee Sin banned away.
Yeah, which means that the Zed could very well be coming out here from SBENU. They say, oh, you jerks.
We should call our jets on the Zed. Whether we'll actually see it locked in early, it'll be quite the salvo to blind pick Zed. Teams have done it. Saw a blind pick Pantheon yesterday, so I guess anything's possible.
Everything is possible after that one. Coco just tilted off of the face of the earth and said,
I don't even want to...
You know what, guys?
I don't know how to conceptualize it. I don't know if it's tilt. I don't know if it was thought of as a good pick. There's a lot of things going on there. Definitely want to be a fly. Wish I was a fly on the wall to hear about the selections there. So far, Zed hasn't been banned.
Yeah.
Will SBENU play with fire here?
They very well might try. This is game one here.
CJ was guilty of that. They didn't ban Lee Sin in their first series. Of course, it was a long time ago, and Flawless made them play.
He made it through. It's going to be the Corki that gets banned away.
Audible gasp from the crowd,
Here.
seeing the Zed's available. It's
It's
certainly
the
going to be
instant
hovered
hover.
at least.
Oh, I am so ready for this to be locked in right now. You can see BDD just smile on his face as he talks with his coach, saying, guys, please, just let me do this. I need to make a statement.
Now, there is the reality. Now, we'll wait and see if the Zed's locked in. But I feel like if you're on the blue side as SBENU, you have to ban Zed because then you have the 5th pick Zed potential coming out.
Yes,
but
absolutely.
if he actually does lock it in on blue, that would... And if he dominates with it, suddenly every future draft you have to think, even on the red side, do we have to ban Zed? Will he first pick it? So maybe the mind games are worth it. A dominating performance in this game might actually have reverberations through the future games of the season, but smartly, not going to see a first pick Zed. It's going to be left there. It's going to be Poppy for Entire, one of his best champions.
Yeah, and now actually something that we didn't get to touch on here. Gangplank did make it through the draft phase. We saw this make it through when Hippo played it just the other day, and it was very devastating despite the nerfs for 6.4. So did not get banned out this time. Just the Nidalee, Lee Sin, Lulu, and then the Callista Bard Corki, of course, which are all becoming pretty staple. Bard against Mad Life after his last performance.
A lot of power champions left up. We've already seen the Cogmore Moldova, the Gangplank, as you mentioned. It was a really good performance from Hippo. We conceptualize him as a tank-only player, but was by far the best member of that Kongdu Monster squad that couldn't quite pick up a crucial set win.
Yeah, he almost solo carried his entire team. But the Alistar and the Kindred are going to be the lock-ins here, so Kindred really coming back in a big way this week so far. And I think it's safe to assume now at this point it is going to be a Devourer Kindred. It was the question, is it going to be Devourer Warrior? We've seen 100% Devourer this week.
So when we saw Kindred enter the competitive sphere, it was all about Kindred, Warrior Kindred going for the early power spike, dueling early, and you can still duel early with the Devourer build, but it was very much initial power. Devourer Hunter's Potion is completely investing in sustain and looking for future benefits. It's been crazy that we've seen such an early ganking jungler going for the Devourer build, but it's obviously very popular in the Korean region. We've seen no Warrior in chat Kindred all week.
Yep. So Braum going to get locked in here, as is the Elise. So again, BDD just keeps hovering over this Zed, reminding SBENU, like, this is available, I can pick it if I so choose. But just drafting for the rest of the team, Sasin hovering it himself. That would be a very interesting snag.
Sasin is known, especially on the red side, for his off-meta picks. We've already seen Quinn mid this season. We've seen Nautilus mid as recently as the last time he played. So we actually have seen some last picks for top lane, whether it was Soul or Saw, but it feels like Sasin definitely one of the few players that can go off. Goes back to the Nautilus, at least showing the champion.
I want to hope that this is a Nautilus top into the Poppy, since it is a pretty good matchup. And
we can tell you one thing.
Not mid again.
It's still a Nautilus flex pick, even with Alistar locked in, because Nautilus flex pick has always existed between top and support. Even with Alistar locked in, SBENU have now shown that this is a flex pick, so mind games continue.
I mean, it's, you know, what are you going to do as Zed as you scale into the game later and later against the Nautilus?
It's worth noting there is a lot of good options against Zed. Alistar already can pop the ult. Kindred has ult as well. If it is Nautilus mid, good luck assassinating him, and they could just lock in Lissandra with the last pick, which has always been one that SBENU have enjoyed. So this would definitely be a confident Z pick rather than a comp Z pick, so I have to feel like we're going to see something else. Seeing where CJ will go. Ezreal's available, and of course that has been Kramer's staple pick all season.
Yeah, has not died in his last 3 games earlier this week.
The Azir was by far the most impressive of the 3 champions we saw from BDD. Champion that saw so much play in 2015, almost none after his last round of nerfs in 2016.
Yeah.
The 5-0-5 really carried his team in game 2. It would be a blind pick mid. He's going to blind pick Azir.
Yeah. Bringing the Azir out. Now the hover straight back over on the Zed for Sasin, which would of course put Nautilus up into the top lane.
Now, I have something interesting to share with you, Achilles.
I'd love to hear it.
Talking to pros about what brings Vel'Koz out into the meta. The one thing I heard was if Azir ever comes back, Vel'Koz will be the champion to counterpick against it. So this is actually, I mean, Sasin is synonymous with Vel'Koz.
Yeah.
Not necessarily winning competitive games, but winning lane. And this is Sin as a good lane matchup. So more than an outside chance, it might actually be Vel'Koz time again, but a lot of other options available for SBENU.
Yeah, he's still got plenty of time to flip through a couple champions and see what he wants to go for.
Could be picking for top as well, it's worth noting.
Very well could be the last 10 seconds coming down to it. It's going to be the Varus actually coming through in the end. So a lot of 80 damage coming through on the side of SBENU.
Yep.
Pretty balanced on the other side of things here for CJ Entus.
CJ Entus have a really nice balanced comp. They've got teleport flanks coming in from Poppy, good engage on that side. It's going to be mostly Poppy for engage, of course. Always the off chance with enough ward control that Elise can get engaged. Azir Sex, I guess, are an outside possibility on the side of SBENU. It's definitely not a true Siege comp, but plenty of Siege provided mostly from Varus. A good front line for triple AD between Nautilus and Alistar. Fun balanced comps, no one-note comps. There's a lot to go on. I think the early game matchup, the early game jungle matchup, Flawless versus Bubbling, Elise versus Kindred might tell us a lot about how this game goes.
Yeah, absolutely. I just want to see how is Nuclear going to build Sivir moving into this game. Is he going to go for the Essence Reaver, or are we going to see that Infinity Edge come out?
You know, it's concerning that on patch 6.4 we don't know for sure the answer to that question, but Prey at least did us proud.
Yeah.
Built lots of Essence Reaver first Sivir yesterday.
If Prey didn't do it, I would have to accept the Infinity Edge as the superior build, but for now I refuse. Essence Reaver is the way to go.
CJ looking to go 6-5, looking to get their game score even and their match score ahead. So this is a very winnable week. Remember, Kongdu Monster into SBENU. They're expected to win this week. The season only gets harder for SBENU.
Yeah, well, we're going to find out if SBENU can do it when we come back. CJ Entus versus SBENU, Game 1. All right, we are on the Rift here for Game 1. Audience seems pretty well split, but maybe leaning a little bit more in favor of CJ.
CJ always been one of the most popular orgs in Korea, of course. Originally Azubu and MIG before they went to the CJ name.
Yep.
Massive brand here in Korea.
Very deep history for this team.
I
and
noticed.
Madlife especially, one of the most recognizable figures pretty much in all of League of Legends.
And the only link to that MIG name that's been around Korean League of Legends since the inception, since they were on the North American server before the Korean server even existed. Sasin rocking the Malzahar Varus skin. Varus Swiftbolt, I believe it is.
Yeah, looks like, taking a look at these Keystone Masteries, double Warlords coming up for these 80 carries, so they did read the patch notes and know that that did get a significant buff.
It's just sustain that you don't itemize for. You start with a Duran Blade, you maybe get a Vamp Scepter 4th item completed, so comes in a lot less. We're seeing SBENU here invading and no extra vision for CJ. They're going to be surprised.
Yeah, they will find Untara and Bubbling in the jungle here. Smites the Wolf, so they do get the Spirit out there. Pop Bubbling up in the air, takes a bit of damage down below half HP. He's not going to lose too much here, however, but Nuclear did pick up, looks like both of those mini wolves, so be a bit behind in CS here as they
At
rotate
least
through
it's
the
actually
jungle.
one of the champions that you don't mind taking that level 1 damage on, just because you have the Spiderlings to tank aggro. In this case, also you have a jungle follow, and the top laner can tank aggro, but either way, going to be just fine.
BDD already aggressing onto Sassen here with the Sand Soldier. Putting in a bit of damage, got that level 2 first. We'll really have to keep our eye on this. He did a pretty fantastic job on this Azir 2 days ago. So want to see if he can have that a repeat performance, perhaps. Meanwhile, we can see this is going to be Flawless and Soul rotating in to try to take the blue buff away from Bubbling.
It will be spotted by the Wolf Spirit, unless it's timed out. It might have had the exact time. In fact, like it looks like it's timed out. So jungling around the top side, the map makes sense though, because we have vertical jungling coming through. You can see 4 members of SBENU around the top lane, and their mid laner in mid.
So just double invade here, and we should just have these towers both going down right about the same time. So pretty standard stuff coming out so far. Nothing too flashy or cheeky.
Never assume the standard with SBENU Sonicboom, but
It's very true.
so far so good on that regard.
Standard as it can be.
Isolated mid lane matchup for Varus. Remember, Varus was the counter pick, or at least they had knowledge that Azir was bind picked, and chosen answer is not so good in the early levels. Again, Varus, his laning phase is very strong, but mostly post 7. Around level 7, level 9, get 5 points into the piercing arrow, and you can clear from long range and poke. Big story I was talking about yesterday is that with the nerfs to Vel'Koz, and no one told Kura about those nerfs, but still, his position as the reliable wave clearer has got a lot more contenders now that there's been the nerf on Victor's E. I feel like Varus is one of the champions that's going to jump up and play, and at least based on the sample size this week, Varus has been picked, banned in probably at least 80% of games.
Yeah, he's been very popular amongst the teams this week. Edge was the first one, I believe, this week to pull him out, and it ended up getting banned away from him in the series following. So, you know, it might just be something that we're going to see continuing on in the coming weeks of round 2. Bubbling, though, clearing out his opponent's jungle, denying a couple marks from Kindred. Did take that Scuttle Crab earlier. Bubbling, though, is going to find Secret. He was a bit far forward. Let's see if BDD can get in here. The Pulverize comes out immediately. Headbutts him actually into Sassen. Doesn't look like there's going to be too much of a follow-up. We'll take a bit of damage here.
Yeah, level
from
4
that
Sassen
passive.
doesn't have kill potential onto Bubbling, so once again, Bubbling takes some free damage, but is all right.
Yep, but this is going to be Flawless coming around as well as he catches him at the Raptors. Flawless can put down a decent bit of damage. Looks like he's just going to be able to take these Raptors away from Bubbling.
You call it decent damage, but Kindred dueling at level 3 is massively, massively powerful. When you fight in your W, you just get so many salvos of your Q and auto attacks that there's no way to trade if you're Elise. If you get the jump, absolutely you can burst down a pre-6 Kindred, but when you see her walking up to you, you get the hell out of there.
Yep. So far, both teams just playing pretty well mirrored to each other. You can see the push going on the top side for CJ. Bot tier 1 looking to go down as well in favor of SBENU. Have a few more members there, so they will be able to burn through that tower faster than CJ Entus. Oh, Sassen, though, going quite low, but BDD, no more mana. Can't follow up on that kill they potentially had in his grasp. Sassen, though, holding on to both summoners, so not panicking in that situation.
Yep. Some amount of greed about clearing these minions, but he knows that he's not going to be able to hold the wave. Azir, with his health advantage, will push in eventually.
Yep. And this is the classic trade that we were seeing 2 days ago. It's going to be the Rift Herald for first dragon of the game, which is very much going to favor SBENU outside of the gold that CJ gains.
Your option is to take it when you're taking that first turret if you're CJ, or give up an advantageous neutral advantage over to SBENU Sonicboom, especially with the power of Dragon 2 and 4 going up. You definitely take Dragon over Rift Herald. You probably would have before, but it's definitely seesawed much further. The pendulum has swung dramatically towards the Dragon with the 6.3, 6.4 changes.
Yep. Just means that CJ needs to be ready for that second spawn to keep SBENU away from being able to pick that up for themselves.
No interesting items completed. It was a first rotation Cull, now turned into a BF sword from Kramer. So Kramer's actually been one of the players who have most favored Cull. Cull got a couple of buffs a few patches ago, basically more immediate stats and more gold. So just a more attractive proposition. And if you know you're opting into a lane swap where you won't be punished for that early purchase, just means you're going to get that mid-game power spike that much earlier.
Yep. Not a bad purchase. We'll have to see what BDD is going to do. Looks like he's going to go straight for the Nashor's Tooth as well.
Again,
he did before.
Big issue. We saw him do this in a matchup against another magic damage dealer, and that was a bit confident. That was a bit cocky. But when you're against Sarsen, and again, we're talking about the pick of the Varus in this situation, there's no hybrid defensive, offensive armor ability power, armor mana regen purchase that makes sense currently in the state of the game right now. You need cooldown reduction to go against as Azir, and so Morello, Omicron, Nationals Tooth, those are the purchases that make sense. Missile Scepter obviously makes no sense, so it's very hard to itemize against Varus's physical damage poke. And it's another reason that makes him a very attractive pick as well. This is some really extended pushing.
Yeah, very much so. You can see CJ trying to get in here onto this tower, but it's already being burned down. Massive wave of minions to back it up as well. Tara going to try to clear this out as best as Poppy can do. Kramer, meanwhile, does get this bot tower, so if CJ holds onto that, it's pretty advantageous for them. Soul has it having to walk back. No one going to collapse in on Kramer quite just yet, so he's still safe. And now Bubbling trying to get his blue buff, but it will be taken away by Flawless. Flash onto Bubbling. They boot him backwards. Sassen with a piercing arrow. Nice repel comes through. He's got nowhere to go. Straight back into 3 members of SBENU Flash over the wall. He does get exhausted. Sassen almost getting killed by these Sand Soldiers as well. Has to retreat. Yet again, though, holding on to both summoners. So both teams playing quite well in a panic situation. Bubbling with nowhere else to go, having to burn the Flash. That's about all that was expended from either side.
Big story, though.
Flash and exhaust.
The big story, though, Achilles, the fact that the defense from CJ held. They realized they could take the turret. There was only a Nautilus who wasn't in any place to actually clear waves. And they sent their 3 members to go and defend the inner and end up with a massive trade. They don't even give up a kill, despite once again being outnumbered. Big, big win for CJ, and you can tell it in the gold. The gold is almost purely because of that turret take.
Yep. And that is Kramer getting a pretty decent CS lead at the moment over top Nuclear, but he's got a couple waves crashing into him right now, so he should be able to make up for the majority of that. But you can see Kramer almost has his Warhammer completed on top of that BF sword and the call. So it's quite nice as far as stats go this early on in the game, just 9 minutes in.
Even though it's a level 7 Varus, he has absolutely no mana, so they need to rotate more members here. Speaking of rotations, 4 members from CJ.
Yeah, they know that Flawless is on the way, and they have wards in the jungle by that wolf pit, so they know that Nuclear is here as well. So just chipping away at this tower. Flawless gets caught by that cocoon, takes a bit of damage. Lamb's Respite, of course, is available, so not too much kill pressure going to go on for him or Sassen, but good pressure being applied by CJ.
Lucky thing for SBENU is with the Sivir. She can just rotate mid, and Varus and Sivir both have massive wave clear, so the wave clear on SBENU's side is very good. Why it really hurts that they lost that extra turret, because you think they'd be winning these turret trades, not coming up behind.
Yeah, so a little bit of overstaying there in confidence by SBENU, thinking that they could get that tier 2 in the top side and just leaving Kramer by himself. Soul not able to arrive in time to clear out the wave and stop that tower from going down. So nicely played by CJ so far. Of course, no kills coming out. So that first blood, that first big fight really could spin this game in a different direction. For right now, CJ doing a pretty good job, sitting 1.6 thousand ahead.
And the big win for CJ has been that they got this purchase on the Cull very early on the Lucian. Nuclear's buy timings just seem to have been so much less desirable than Kramer's, because Kramer's buy timings have been basically rushing the Cull, going to lane to get the second turret, and then picking up a BF sword, whereas Sivir, at 11 minutes, is just sitting on the Corefield's Warhammer and boots. If you saw the Cull, you should be buying as much power as possible and then going into the 2v2 and trying to punish the greedy investment banker approach to laning, but instead, feels like Lucian has got the advantage everywhere, and then it's just going to have the Cull to mean that in about 5 minutes or so, he's going to have a lot extra stats compared to Nuclear.
Well, if these last 2 days have told me anything about how this game is going to turn out, the team that is scaling is not going to get punished. They will do quite well, and then the other team will win in the end.
That is...
Sorry, Samsung.
That's been kind of the way that multiple matches have gone, and the other thing you should have learned is that a lot of turrets down in top and bot, but the mid turrets, when we're talking about Varus and Azir, unless we see...
We'll get to those in 20
a
minutes.
successful gank, you're right. It feels like 35 minutes has become the staple, not 15 minutes,
I was going to say, not at 20 minutes, in 20 minutes.
Only two
Teleport
true.
coming in behind Kramer, though. He's going to get pinched here by Nuclear. Dashes in, just decides to fight Nuclear. The calling comes down. Teleport coming in as well from Untara. Now they turn face onto Soul, but Flawless is joining the rest of the team. No one really here to help out. Kramer's still going forward, but Sasson is here. Flashes forward, still gets the first blood coming through. Secret's going to go down. Looks like Kramer will fall. He does. Sasson finishes him off with the ultimate. And that is going to be the fight, but overall 2 for 1 in favor of CJ, and maybe now in a good position to go ahead and pick up their first dragon of the game.
Kramer just held his mind so well. He realized that he had a minion wave pushing behind, so there was an excellent teleport opportunity.
Yep, coming around the back side here. Mad Life has to dash away, however. They do not want to dive too deep in here. Flawless takes a lot of damage. Ultimate still available, however. Looks like CJ just going to go ahead and finish off this mid tower.
Make us eat our words. It's not 30 minutes, it's 12 minutes. But that was all about Kramer holding his head. He realized it looked like a pinch, but because he had a minion wave with him, excellent opportunity for Untara to just teleport on the Poppy and divide threats. Better target focus, they pick up the 2. And then because Sasson had to take the most defensive route back to mid, he wasn't there to clear waves despite being level 9 Varus. They take the turret, they're going to take the dragon. CJ picking up everything in the first 10 minutes.
Yeah, and good decision making by Kramer to just go straight into the enemy's face and
needs
just
to
fight
help.
them. Yeah,
Okay.
he throws down the Lamb's Respite to try to kill this one. Is it going to be enough? Yeah, with the heal. Of course it is. So they will go ahead and get that Rift Herald, but it has been the first dragon now for CJ, so good pickup by them.
Also a really long cooldown used just to get a couple of extra seconds killing.
Yeah, that is not a
Rift
short
Herald.
cooldown at rank 1.
150, I think, something like that. Obviously could be some CDR runes. Some junglers do run 10% flat CDR for faster clear.
Yeah, Flawless just has to make sure that he does not get in a position where he would need that ultimate, you know, before it comes back up.
That really does pigeonhole you when you're Hunter's Machete Devourer Kindred, because now you're saying, well, I'm not really team fight ready and I'm stacking, so I'm going to stay in this jungle and be back in 2 minutes.
Yep. See you guys. Try not to die.
Well, SBENU have had a lot of struggles with that this season, so...
Yes, they have. They, they've been rather unsuccessful when it comes to not dying.
Or wildly successful in dying.
That's true. That is the...
Glass half full, Ilias.
I think this glass is about to spill over.
I think the glass spilled over about 10 games ago.
Fair point as well. We can see if SBENU is going to beat the 30-minute mark as they get ready to push in toward this tower. But of course, those Sand Soldier auto attacks are going to be able to pierce. So BDD should be able to take these out.
In the off-lane matchup, Soul does have a CS advantage. Has the Zerat portal very early too. Poppy will struggle to deal with that portal when it's been put down, but so far saving. Ah, there we go. Going to put down the Zerat portal. Bit of a strange place to put the Zerat portal when there's no turret to pressure in that area, and he's staying in lane as well.
Yeah, I guess he's just trying to... Actually, I don't know. I don't know what he's trying to do.
I don't know why you'd put a Zerat portal there just now.
If I have it, why not use it? Bubbling, though. Maybe in a bit of a bad spot. Actually, didn't have any vision there. Good flash away from Sasson's ultimate. Will keep him alive. Mad Life going really deep in here. Has to use Unbreakable. Try to mitigate some damage, but does get burned down to half HP. Kramer not quite following him on his coattails, as he might have thought that he was.
The other strange thing is you might think, okay, putting down the Zerat portal to create a lot of map pressure, and then use the teleport, but teleport's still not available. You can see
the minions are dying.
The minions are dying before they get anywhere near the enemy tower. I think that's just a bad Zerat portal usage. There's no other way to say it.
It will keep the lane pushing against CJ, but it's just not getting much use out of it.
It's nice that an item's not been added, but, you know, it's come into the meta that does have a bit of skill cap about where to put it. So, unfortunately, Soul not showering himself in glory with that particular usage.
Suboptimal Zerat portal usage. We need the new statistic.
Suboptimal Zerat portal sounds like some PSA that's out there.
Do you suffer from suboptimal
Zerat portals? I really hope not. The doctor didn't say anything about that on the last visit.
Yeah, well, you might want to get re-examined. Your soul certainly needs to be. Oh, this is going to be a very aggressive play by Mad Life as he flashes forward for the Glacial Fissure. Untara from the backside stuns him in, pops all three up in the air. Lamps was bright, keeping it alive for the time being, but BDD comes in hard, gets a double kill. And just like that, CJ just trying to blow this game wide open. maybe finish it before the 40-minute mark.
Really decisive. They knew that Nuclear on Sivir had no way to respond. It was going to be a 5v4 at best from a SBENU perspective. Poppy showing up behind Avaris, always a great spot to be, and Sarsen dies. With both his summoners up, it's going to be a second turret in mid, and CJ just piling on Evan, just one after the other in their first 20 minutes.
Yep, really good stuff from CJ. Playing very cohesively.
It's the shot calling, right? It's the fact that they can say, Sivir's top, can't respond to this, even with On The Hunt being popped to level 1 On The Hunt. It would have taken Sivir ages to waddle over to mid, and 2 people were dead before she could ever react.
Yeah, really good stuff. Let's take a look at this replay here. Bad Life just going so ham.
And it looks crazy, right? You're like, why is he initiating? But again, the mini-map tells you the story. Sivir's still with the mini-wave, doesn't respond anytime during this fight. He's just saying to his team, back, back, back. Yep. There's nothing I can do. Poppy showing up around the back of an immobile mid laner like Varus. The result's 2 kills, a turret.
Yep.
Very nice shot call. Yep. Veteran shot call, I'd even say, from CJ Entus.
Yep, just really good ward placement there on the other side of that wall. Tara just able to pin him straight in. Very good stuff from CJ. Clearly playing as a unit this time around.
So the Zerot portal should work in a situation like this, where you have a minion wave coming in, you put down the Zerot portal, Alistar and Nautilus look scary, and then 380 carries take a turret. Other option is to put it close to this inner turret down bot, and then once again go for a 4-1 or a 5-0 in the mid lane. Right now, Zerot portal hasn't been activated, as far as I can tell.
No, it is. It's down by the red buff.
Okay.
In the lower side of the jungle.
So they are doing good map pressures. This is a much better use of Zerot portal.
Yeah, and I also kind of like the placement there, because as far as the Fog of War goes, you can't entirely tell where it is placed. It might look like since it comes in the Fog of War near the tower, kind of looks like it might be coming from that Krug brush.
But you see what it's causing, because the only person with the wave clear to clear it is Kramer or BDD, so one of those two has to go. Suddenly, they're not able to react to the Rift Herald because they don't have teleport themselves. Really nice play, and this is how Zerot portal can warp games. It was smart that he had the Trinket Ward, just popped it in there, suspecting it was at the red buff, and pleasantly rewarded.
Yeah, so that will be Rift Herald number 2, I believe, for SBENU, but it's going to be the 3rd dragon of the game spawning in a little bit, and Tara just going in on Soul. Not going to be able to find any kill pressure whatsoever, and CJ in perfect position. The recalls come through from SBENU. This is going to be a free 2nd dragon for them.
It was the 1st dragon for SBENU after the lane swap, but 2 in a row for CJ Entus. They go for a 4-1. They're going to have that burn onto the turrets that can be so powerful. You could have spent this whole game in top for some reason. I'm wanting
Maybe
to
he
group,
wants to be a top laner.
but it's only a Sivir comp. You're supposed to press R and run together. Not really. I mean, if you think about it, 2 people are running. The other 2 are running backwards because they're Kindred and Varus, respectively.
Maybe he just wants to push the wave so hard that the minions kill that tier 2 tower.
He doesn't even have Static Shiv and or the Hurricane yet.
He's at least got the Essence Reaver, though.
That's true. Already improving.
And that's all that matters.
Guys, don't know 6.4 critical strikes. Now, if you get a crit on your first auto, and when you have Ricochet active, all the other autos will crit, which means your wave clear is delicious.
And your mana regen is very constant.
Not an irrespective thing on Sivir, who does go through a lot of mana. Specifically, she doesn't have the refund come through from the spell shield.
Yep. You can see, though, SBENU grouping up here in this mid lane, trying to get some more damage on this tower. Looks like they should be able to take it. Now this calling comes out. Gonna catch 3 members on the sidelines. Kramer takes a bit of damage. We'll have to back up a little bit here, and SBENU are continuing the pressure. BDD throwing up those Sand Soldiers, gonna try to burn through these minions and put a lot of damage down onto both Secret and Flawless. Just chugging up on that potion, trying to stay alive. Soul gets caught by the cocoon, but no follow-up gonna come of it.
Zerot portal's down again, but
it's
it's quite shallow, so will cause a build-up. But again, you're forcing Untara's action. That's what Zerot portal's doing. It's about forcing suboptimal lane assignments. Now that he's finished the Iceborne Gauntlet, Untara's going to have an easier time dealing. Does find it. Will have his way with the portal. Eventually.
That sounded filthy.
Nope, this is a family-friendly broadcast, Kilios. Mind out of the gutter, please.
Oh, God, that was disgusting for a second. But we can see Kramer he was doing a good impression of Nuclear going up to the top side.
With the Zerot portal. You enjoying that? Good stuff?
No, it's not. Anyway, going back, Nuclear straight back into that top lane. Big surprise. Going to continue pushing out the waves because that's all he seems to know how to do, even though he's not even equal in CS with Kramer.
I just don't see how constantly 1-3-1ing with Sivir leads to a late game where SBENU has an advantage. You look on the side of CJ, they have better engage. They have 3 frontliners, depending on where Madlife is positioned, but 2 flexible, 2 frontliners, 2 backliners, and a person who can either peel or chase. Whereas SBENU has engage, but not really an engage comp. They're much more about sieging, so 4-1 or all 5 members, ARAM or 4-1, but not the 1-3-1.
Yeah, well, we got some action in the bot side now as Kramer comes in, uses the calling onto Soul, but he has that. He does have that dredge line to Spider-Man his way out of harm's way. So no kill going to come out of that one. Untara using the ultimate as well. Kramer dashing over the wall, has a red buff to slow out Soul, grabs the wall, but there's no tower there, has to pop the dredge line. Untara coming straight back in. Can they catch him? The flash forward, the slow coming through, one more hit. There it is. Untara with a ranged attack will finish off the Nautilus. But meanwhile, SBENU does group in the mid lane, takes down that tier 1 tower finally. It's at the 23-minute mark.
So SBENU now forced to react. Remember, this outer turret was already prepped earlier. Kramer's going to keep pushing in. Will be too risky to push in, but now, despite having that very strong siege comp, they're forced to back away because of the pick on Soul. So the advantage is only muted. It's only the smallest of advantages for SBENU.
Yeah, very slight little pickup for them. Still down by 4.1 thousand gold. Now we can see CJ grouping around this Baron pit, maybe looking for a bait. They know that the pit's clear. Ward does come over the wall from Flawless, so they do have to back out. Madlife coming around the side as they get deeper vision. Bubbling still getting hit by this Baron, down below half HP.
Worth noting, it's a full AP build on Bubbling. Of course, some health in the Rylat's Crystal Scepter, and then Madlife has only built Magic Resist, so only really Untara's in a position to tank up Baron, so more difficult right now.
Yeah, it's like a half defensive item for Bubbling. Not going to net him too much. We can see the Zerat portal coming right back down again. I think Untara knows where it's been placed, though.
Oh, he definitely does.
Basically saw it.
Just seems like a weird timing. Has teleport up, but it seems not making plays around the map. He also didn't have his ultimate, so didn't really want to be teleporting in without that. So looks like once again the Zerat portal won't contribute much.
That's just going to be the story of the game here for Soul, as he struggles to find a very effective use for that.
But we've already seen one effective use when they set it up down bottom.
Oh, good steal away by Sassin.
Well,
piercing arrow.
Good claim, I guess, because it was their own red buff.
Well, he stole it back.
That's true. Nuclear. Once again, it had the permanent assignment of top lane.
Yep, Kramer is just going to go ahead and push it straight back. So I guess top lane is the new bot lane. But you just don't have supports with you.
If you want a 1-3-1, why not have the Sivir in bot lane so that she can react to a dragon fight? That seems more
beats the
clever.
hell out of me.
Flawless really does not want to face check that brush.
He doesn't, but he's going to leap toward it, and that's going to be Flash Cocoon. He can't even activate the ultimate. All 4 members just jump onto him. The only unfortunate thing about that was that Madlife got the kill.
But it was really greedy. He knew that a pink ward was cleared at his red buff. He did not have vision of any member of CJ, and he's kiting towards the Baron, towards that brush. Yep. Really questionable. Baron's low.
Yeah, Untara uses the ultimate to knock away just the Alistar. It still goes down. The Smite, of course, going to confirm that one for Bubbling. BDD goes in on Assassin, burns through him. Bubbling will confirm the kill. Now Soul nowhere to go. Is going to have to die for the team. Secret pops the ultimate. The calling comes through. Nowhere to run. Gets stunned up by the concussive blows. Goes down. That's going to be a double kill coming in for Bubbling. And CJ are just running away with this game.
Super clean team fight, specifically from BDD. Knew his limits. This game he actually went for Zhonya's second, and that allowed him to get into the front lines, show out the ult, and then lose the aggro with the Zhonya's. Really clean Azir play, making an argument for Azir to come back into the meta.
Yeah,
Scary way, given how much he dominated the meta in 2016. Just watch BDD, so low, but does go for the ult play with Zhonya's. Loses aggro on the inset. You can see that CJ's also going to pick up the 3rd dragon. But this is just really clean stuff from CJ, all off of an overly greedy Raptor take from Devourer Kindred.
Yeah, that was just really well. That was just really well played by CJ, knowing that Flawless was going to come over to try to take that camp, and just instant, everybody just jumped on top of him. He couldn't even use the ultimate. CJ playing very well this match.
7,000 gold up, 9-1. It's not going to be a perfect game, but it feels like basically a perfect game for
It
CJ.
might as well be.
I mean, they really did toil against Kongdu Monster 2 days ago, so it's nice to see them playing so cleanly.
The only tower that CJ gave up was really the mid. I mean, they gave up all 3 technically, but the one that SBENU really contested was that mid tower, because they just traded 2 other towers with each other. So, you know, SBENU hasn't even really acquired that many objectives on their own terms. It's going to be Otara going in, though. Gets a stun onto Flawless, pops him up in the air. Lamps' Bite does come down in time to save him. Secret trying to stay in that as well. Otara going to sit in that, takes a lot of damage, but BDD is just cleaning up house with this Azir. Bubbling gets grabbed up. BDD goes deep. The Azir Sec does not land. Pops the Zonias. And now flash away by Soul. It's a little bit of a messy fight here in this bot lane. Looks like they're just going to go ahead and back off, get the 1 kill, get the inhibitor, go back to the base, spend some gold, and heal up.
That time, the Azir Sec didn't come off. Just Zonias to pop the Nautilus ultimate, so didn't take any damage.
There was a flash away by Soul, keeping him out of further harm's way, I should say.
But they got the inhibitor, that's the big story. They couldn't necessarily finish the game off that push, but lead grows for CJ Entus. And it's just a different kind of mid laner. That's the story that we can parrot. You know, people want to talk about second coming of Faker. It's going to take a long time. It's going to take, I mean, a half a season is probably not enough sample size to compare yourself to the best player in the history of League of Legends. But there's excitement about this team. There's excitement about this player, and his play on Azir, at least, has been to the standard that really justifies all the hype that's been around this guy since he joined CJ Entus at the age of 15 last February.
Yeah, absolutely. I can't help but agree with you. And, you know, like you said, does he deserve to be called the, you know, Faker 2, the second coming of Faker? Possibly. We don't know for sure. But what we do know is that he is giving CJ a second breath of life and a chance to go to playoffs.
Look, it's definitely a title he's been given by you and by many people in the Korean scene, but it's a title that has to be earned, in my opinion.
Yes.
So the hype for him, justified, but the title, that's something he needs to earn.
Yep. That comes with the legacy.
Well, it's going to take a while to match the legacy. CJ fans are going to be beside themselves if he can emulate the legacy of Faker.
Yeah.
The long struggling CJ fans with this name, with CJ Entus' name, they have never won champions. All their success, barring an IEM, was previously.
Maybe it's like, I'll have to hold the thought. Tar throws out the ultimate. It's not going to hit anything, though.
Goal!
Yeah. Wave gets cleared out. I was going to say, maybe it's like Space Jam. BDD.
It's always like Space Jam when
Faker,
Poppy and Nautilus are in the game.
Faker, like, touched a mouse or a keyboard and it sucked all of his abilities out, and that's why SKT's not doing so hot.
I mean, Faker himself has the highest DPM in the league, so...
That's true.
Maybe it was Bengi's mouse.
Yeah, maybe it was Bengi's mouse. That very well could be.
CJ just trying to get their lane assignments right. You can see Untara's pushing in top, Super Minions pushing in bot. Zerot Portal to help against the Super Minions, though. Will do an okay job.
Trying to get through them as fast as possible.
That's going to be another free objective. Grows the gold leads 10,000 now.
Yep.
Who's going to get the anti-trigger figures? We've already seen Poppy miss with the ult.
See the teleport. This is just going to be a TP from Untara straight into the base on the bottom side. Can he get a pick here?
Just looking for the turret.
The wall. Can't find it. Secret goes in. Pops up BDD, who's already at half HP. Throws out the Emperor's Divide just to keep himself alive. And the enemy's away. Still has the Zonias. Should he need to pop it? But TP burned by Untara. Not going to gain too much.
All they get is about 50%, not even 50%, 30% of their health on this mid lane inhibitor turret. Zerot Portal actually doing a good job of holding up the Super Minions.
Yeah, and now we'll see what the game plan is for CJ moving forward after that one didn't quite work out. Fortunately for them, unless Untara gets really low and has to back off, he shouldn't need to teleport for a little while, because SBENU is just not in a position to really push outside the space too far.
Look, CJ are just trying to get the most in the minute before Dragon and Baron spawn, and then they can kite back. They've had no way for SBENU to put down the aggressive wards. They're going to have some trinkets, 2 only in the inventory. At this point, with no map control at all, I'd actually like to see Nautilus change over to the blue trinket, because who else is going to be checking this Baron, this Dragon, as these really key objectives are going to come into play very short.
Yep. Spawning about 14 seconds apart from each other. The 4th Dragon, if CJ decides to go over there, and of course their 2nd Baron of the game.
You know you're in a good spot where you can full court press 30 seconds before Baron and Dragon spawn, and then you know that SBENU has instant vision and nothing else because they've just never been in a position to earn vision around these objectives.
Yep. So the Sand Tower does get destroyed here. But all of CJ just still hovering together around this mid lane, working as a unit. Looks like they're going to go straight from this Dragon, likely run to the Baron as well.
This is a 6.4 thing. This was 6.2. You wouldn't have gone for the 4th Dragon. It didn't really give you a relevant buff, but suddenly, earning 4th Dragon isn't just the obvious window into 5th, but it does provide you with the chance to dive what is already a half-health turret in the mid lane.
Yeah.
20% damage reduction from turrets on Antara. If Antara's the one tanking, it's going to last a while.
Yeah, he's just going to be able to sit under that thing quite some time. Secret, though, getting caught out. Concussive Blows comes through, has to pop his own ultimate, but they're still just burning through him. Meanwhile, Bubbling on the other side, trying to get onto Flawless. Runtara comes in, dashes through. The Alistar does fall. So far, no one else quite going down. I'll take that back. Flawless goes down. Nuclear not going to get hit up by that Glacial Fissure, but Runtara sticking to Sassin with the Frozen Fist. Now being taken quite low. BDD goes in, gets a huge Azir sec, but he goes down for it. This could be the turn by SBENU. Mad Light falls as well. Kramer quite low, the flash forward. The root for Antara gets slowed out by the Riptide, has to sprint away. Kramer trying to lifesteal off these Krugs. Looks like they might get out of this one alive.
Meanwhile,
Bubbling just going straight for the bot lane, trying to take out that inhibitor. Kramer goes back in, gets a little bit of damage onto Soul, but not going to be able to find any kill pressure. But it doesn't look like Bubbling is going to be able to find any either on that inhibitor.
And with the respawns, and ironically, the Zerat portal doing a lot of work. Bubbling can't backdoor. Some of those Azir sec plays you get punished, and that's the truth for BDD. He went for the hero play, was punished for it, and suddenly CJ are held off. Now, there needs to be many more fights like this before SBENU are back in the game. We're watching the replay.
Yeah, everybody on to Secret here, who does go down. Flawless is getting selected out by Bubbling, but then
speaking of selections, Flawless dies instantly without the ability to ult, and that's now you think, okay, fight's over, CJ have got this, but we just wait for the moment where BD enters the fight. He's already quite low. He takes the poke from Varus, and basically one crit and one Q from Varus kills him, and suddenly there's very little damage left in the fight. Elise was in mid this whole time, expecting it to be a 1-5 for CJ Entus, and this is the result. It was a bit of parity in a game that was, until now had been very one-sided.
Yeah, but here comes the TP in from Mutara on the backside, dashes onto Flawless, pops up 3 members of the enemy team. Mutara getting targeted out though. Looks like he's going to go down, but Soul has fallen as well. Flawless getting jumped on once again, cannot use his ultimate. Kramer finds the kill, the stun on Assassin, he goes down. BDD finds that one. It's going to be a double kill for Kramer. Can he make it a triple? Goes on the Nuclear, and he does. And just like that, CJ, after one flub fight, come back in, wipe the floor with SBENU, and they're going to win the game.
A double for BDD and a triple for Kramer. Happy news for CJ fans. That time BDD didn't go too Rambo on the front line, was able to fight in the back line. Doesn't have Rylai's to slow people up, but that was what everyone else doing. It was a really nice flash cocoon to take down a member from Bubbling in that case. They don't have a minion wave, so maybe they can't finish
20% reduction.
That's true.
Yeah,
even Kramer looks pretty tanky.
Yeah, he was tanking that tower for a while, so they are going to be able to, in fact, finish here as the last turret does go down. Over onto the Nexus, CJ Entus walking away with game 1.
18-4 is the final kill score. Death on both carries, but still a very nice performance from CJ. Now this week is a confidence-building week for CJ.
Yep.
Kongdu Monster, SBENU Sonicboom. 2 teams they are expected to beat, they're expected to dispatch. They lost a game to Kongdu. Doesn't look like they're going to lose a game to SBENU, at least based on this game 1 performance. The real story for CJ and how good this lineup is in future weeks, because these are the 2 easiest teams out of the way first week of second round robin.
Yep. Sad stat there, though, is Kramer did die once, so not going to continue the streak of not dying after that last set. But pretty good damage share between him and BDD, both doing around 22,000 each. The big hero, as far as that goes, was going to be Sassin, who pushed about 27k. So out-damaging everybody in the game, but unfortunately not able to find the win. You can see that as the face of defeat, if I've ever seen one.
Sassin face has always been a meme since we've had SBENU in the league, but disappointing from SBENU on a macro level. They've disappointed us many times. Yeah. The team known to pick a poke comp and then look for fights. In this game, the 1-3-1 was so curious. And all you can say is that CJ deserved winners in Game 1.
Yeah, played quite well. We'll see if they're able to do that again moving into the second set when we come back.